You know, it's feels like a responsibility, the next generation of physicians, so that they'll be able to continue the work and do a better job with their own patients.
In my senior year in college, I did a couple of ride-alongs with the Sheriff's Department. I saw the work that they were doing, saw what the deputies were doing on a daily basis, and I fell in love with it.
I have never was in control of my destiny, but wherever I went, I have done my best.
Major funding for Arab American Stories was provided by Mohammed and Jamie El Arian, the Arab American Community of Michigan, the Arab American Community of Houston, Texas, the American Syrian Arab Cultural Association of Michigan. Additional funding was provided by
These Arab Americans all have a mission to help the wider community. Cardiologist Mahmoud Traina serves the working poor at a county hospital outside Los Angeles, but he also found time to take medical supplies to Libyans during the revolution. Sergeant Mike Abdeen and Deputy Sherif Morsi run the groundbreaking Muslim Community Affairs Unit for the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. Father George Shalhoub built St. Mary's Antiochian Orthodox Church into a positive force for the people of Livonia, Michigan. Mahmud Trina is a young doctor who gives back to his patients, his students, and the medical community. So when the Libyan revolution started, he knew he had to help.
I love what I do. You know, it's kind of like the perfect job for me. You get to help people. You get to, and I work at a teaching hospital, so I get to teach. I get to do research and kind of advance different causes. In my opinion, you only go into a field like medicine if you really want to try to make a difference. I mean, there's a lot of other fields to make money and to live a comfortable life. We train both. We have medical students and residents and fellows, so people who are specializing in internal medicine and then people who are specializing in cardiology. Okay, wait, before you give meds, stop. Let's give 1 of Versed and 50 of Benadryl.
50 of Benadryl?
Are you okay, Mr. Bernardino? You feeling nervous?
Yeah.
Huh?
It's okay.
You still nervous? You want a little more medication?
A little.
Okay. J-wire going back in.
Alright.
Position it better this time?
Yeah, I'm going to try to get it closer.
Straighten it out this part?
So I get it towards the left. Usually counter works the best, but sometimes you have to go far, so I get it's hard to tell. Now I can clearly see that's the collaterals is to the to the RCA, right?
Yeah.
Looks like a 50-ish% lesion. So what are we gonna do? What would you do? So now this is your
That
patient.
means stenting.
Mr. Bernardino,
Yes.
we're finishing up, okay?
Okay.
Everything went well. How you feeling?
Pretty good.
Okay, good. Okay, let me just take off my mask. I'll come talk to you, okay? I think we're going to need to do an ultrasound test of the left artery where they go in and they look at it by ultrasound to see if it's significant. If it's really severe, then we'll need bypass surgery.
Alright.
All right, so we'll get you off the table and then answer any other questions you have. You know, it feels like a responsibility, the next generation of physicians, so that they'll be able to continue the work and do a better job with their own patients. And it's kind of fun being able to work with people in that kind of manner. This lady has a big, dilated heart, very huge. And Chagas disease is kind of where I found kind of my niche where I can kind of do a lot of work to help I think, a huge underserved population. Chagas disease is basically a parasite disease that's passed along through a bug that's found throughout the Americas and can cause an acute infection. Initially, people get a little sick, but then it kind of lays dormant for years, and then 20 years down the line, people present with end-stage heart failure, and their just hearts stop working, and they're very, very sick. It affects about 15 million people worldwide throughout the Americas, primarily in Latin America, but it's completely unrecognized and undertreated here in the U.S. She's had this heart failure, this big dilated heart failure, for 5 years from Chagas disease. Nobody knew why. Nobody decided to check. She came from classic, you know, she's a Latin American immigrant. Nobody decided to screen her for it. This affects 15 million, but it's neglected because the people it affects are people who come from rural, poor areas of Latin America. And so, you know, those people, those people all across the world get less attention, and their diseases get less attention. So, so this is something kind of I'm pretty passionate about and try to increase awareness about. Most Libyans that came in the 70s and 80s were sent by the government to the U.S. So they came for school, higher levels of degrees, supposed to go back. But because of the political situation around, that's when the time when Gaddafi really started promoting his Green Book and all his crazy ideologies. So most of them became involved in the opposition, and most, you know, they ended up not being able to go back. I consider myself Libyan American, but this is what I know. You know, I've grown up here. I'm from LA. I know LA. I know I'm American. You know, this is where I grew up, this is what I know. When Libya started, I didn't expect that the people would show that degree of bravery, to go out and then be killed and then go out more and then be killed more and then go out more. And it was very awe-inspiring, but the human toll was horrendous, you know, and then we were watching the news and we were just wondering what can we do to help the people, because every day at first it started with 20 people I think the first day, then 100, then 200, and 500 dead, thousands injured, hospitals full.
From the beginning of the revolution, he sort of had that idea in the back of his mind, and he mentioned it a couple of times, and I was emotional at that point, so I wouldn't really reply, but I couldn't even believe he was thinking about it, because at that time I was entering into my 7th month. And like, obviously I was worried that I would end up being a widow and that his baby would be without a father. I
was worried for her, you know, I mean, obviously I didn't want to leave her at that point. But these are our families, our people. If we don't help, who's going to help? I get a call from a friend of mine who was in Dubai. He calls me and says there's huge shortage of physicians and we need help in kind of arranging medical supplies. Can you come?
It was nerve-wracking. It was very nerve-wracking, and I just basically would get, he was pretty good about trying to call me every day, even if it was for like 20 seconds. He would just be like, I'm okay, I'm fine, everything's good, how are you? Okay, I'll talk to you later.
They stationed me at one of the hospitals there, El Hawari Hospital, and I worked in the ICUs primarily. I think a lot of people write that in their medical school application, like, I want to, like, you know, help out humanity and stuff, but when I got married to him, I realized, like, no, he's gonna put an action to his, you know, his word. So it's, he's gonna be he is the father of, like, my son, and that's exactly what I want my son to, like, look up to. You know, I kept joking even when I got back, somebody don't let him out until Gaddafi is gone. We don't want him out. We only want him to know a free Libya.
He doesn't have to try. He's trying real hard.
Sergeant Mike Abdeen and Deputy Sherif Morsi run the Muslim Community Affairs Unit for the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. It's a groundbreaking community outreach and law enforcement education program.
Assalamu alaikum. How you doing, sir?
We are hoping to have this whole project complete by March.
And in the post-9/11 world, where effective communication is vital, it's a national and international model for community policing.
I was born in Jerusalem and grew up in Jerusalem. Went to middle school and high school there. I've always wanted to do something with law enforcement and government work. And when I became a U.S. citizen, I thought this is an opportunity for me to join and try it out and give back to the country. And I've been doing it for the last 20 years now. So it started as a curiosity and then ended up being a career for me. About 4 years ago, Sheriff Baka asked me to develop a community outreach program to connect with the Muslim community in Los Angeles. So I started as a regular outreach, kind of develop trust and relationship with the Muslim community in Los Angeles. And eventually that outreach program developed to become a whole Muslim community affairs unit with educational programs and diplomacy. Did you know we're coming here today?
Yes, sir.
You did? Okay. What did they tell you?
Sir, just that we've got
Muslim 101.
Muslim 101, is that what they called it? Muslim 101. What's the problem there? Is there such thing as Muslim 101? What is a Muslim? Well, we'll get to this. The purpose of us being here is education. And this is just an example of the education needed among law enforcement. There's no such thing as Muslim. There is Islam 101, because Muslim is like Christian, like saying Christian 101 or Jew 101. They are young, and some of the issues that happened 9/11, and it might sound for us, we're more familiar with it. But for them, it's history. Some of them were 10, 11 years old probably when 9/11 happened. The reason we're here today is to talk to you about law enforcement interaction with the Muslim community. It's a program, it's an outreach program that the Sheriff's Department started about 4 years ago. And it has grown to become a model for the nation, and now it's even going further, going international. They always wonder, who are Arabs, what's the Middle East? They didn't know the difference between Arab American or Pakistani or Indian or South Asian. So I became kind of a source for education. When they come across something cultural, I'll help them, educate them, teach them. And then I realized there is a gap here. We really need to do something about it. So I developed a training program for our department, cultural diversity and awareness training, that now became a program that is taught to all our new recruits at the academy.
The two topics that we're going to cover is community policing and cultural competency for government and law enforcement. You guys think community policing is important to this?
Sure.
In what way?
Well, they get to know you. You know, they trust you more. They feel they can come and talk to you more. Maybe they can help you do some work of your own.
Right. These are the key word there, trust. How about cultural competency? Why is that important for law enforcement? Why is it important for law enforcement to understand different cultures?
You want to know your community and know who you're dealing with, so you can know how to interact with different communities and try to communicate.
It's going to help you as a police officer, as a public servant, to understand them. I was born in Egypt, in Cairo, Egypt, and I came, my whole family came when I was 7 years old. I moved to Southern California. And in my senior year in college, I did a couple of ride-alongs with the Sheriff's Department. I saw the work that they were doing, saw what the deputies were doing on a daily basis and the kind of challenges that they faced, and I fell in love with it.
Teaching how to interact with the Muslim community itself is fairly new. We've been doing it for the last couple of years because of all the issues that the hate incidents are happening with the Muslim community. But in general, police in most academies across the country are teaching and emphasizing the importance of trust in the community. We go to events, talk at centers, mosques, and the whole idea is to build trust and get them used to our uniform. Assalamu alaikum. How are you, sir?
How are you?
Mike Abdeen and Sherif Morsi. Which window was broken? This one? The last one?
I was not here.
You were here, okay. So is this the prayer area now?
Yeah, because we can get the permit for the whole team, but we don't have enough for the parking.
Ah. This is model of outreach because the Department of Homeland Security decided to design an outreach program. They looked at us as a best practice model, and we partnered with them, share with them our experience with the community, how to develop contacts and trust with the leadership. So when we go, we try to make it relaxed. I mean, we are still cops. We keep our safety. You know, we know what we're doing, but you kind of tone it down a little bit.
Thank you very much for coming, and we appreciate to see you more.
Sure, sure.
And especially, I talked to Lieutenant Valdez and Lieutenant Riaz.
Yes.
That 9:30 in the evening and 5 o'clock in the morning.
They see that the threat is real and it affects them, and if, God forbid, something else happens in the United States, they will be the first to be affected. So now they are really actively asking how they could get involved, how could they help eliminate the threat, and we are receiving some good information sometimes.
We sent out a bulletin last week to all of our stations about the upcoming events, and same issues you just brought.
This is the success for us, really, is for them to provide us information that protects them and the country in general, protect everybody as a community. The community, if they trust you, they will call you, they will talk to you, and we have experienced this in our work. And it's the first step to identify terrorist activities, because they are the ones that are going to be calling you, telling you that something is suspicious, not happening, because they trust you, you build that relationship with them. We had questions.
It said Muslims pray 5 times a day. Now, do you guys do that as well? You guys pray 5 times a day, or?
Yeah, no, we didn't do that. We're not real, complete practicing Muslims. But we know how to do it. We know how to fast and how to pray. When we go to the mosque, we do it like everybody else. So we respect them. We respect the community.
You know, just because you're Muslim doesn't mean you're very, very devoted to your faith. I mean, some Christians only go to church on Easter and Christmas, right? I mean, it's the same for any other faith. People have this misconception that Muslims are super, you know, strong in their faith, very religious. Some Muslims don't fast during Ramadan. They don't pray. It doesn't make them less of a person. They have different interpretations of what makes them a better Muslim than others.
The idea is to spread the education, and it's a good model. It's working for us. It might not work the whole thing for other areas in the country, but at least they could take components of it, see what works for them, and adjust it to serve their communities, regardless of what background or ethnic background or countries they come from.
Father George Shalhoub journeyed from Syria to start St. Mary's Mission in Livonia, Michigan, with only a handful of parishioners in 1972. 40 years later, its grand basilica and thriving cultural center is at the heart of the local community.
Father has a very unique technique, I would say, for empowering the parishioners and the people he comes in contact with.
We all followed him. The whole story inspires me.
I was born in the third largest city of Syria, the city of Hama. I had a wonderful childhood, very playful one, around the church and around the family. And at the age of 12, I was summoned to go home and take some of my belonging and placed on a train with 5 other boys and shipped to Lebanon without knowing where we're going, you know. But the bishop asked, the late Bishop Ignatius asked my dad that he should give his son to be a priest. My dad never consulted me or even asked my opinion. So when we went, I thought we were going to a summer camp for a week, but the train got to Tripoli, and there was a driver came and picked us up and took us to the seminary, which is the Balamand Seminary.
Rejoice, Virgin Theotokos, Mary full of grace, the Lord.
It was a cultural shock coming here, not knowing how to drive, read signs, ordering food, have no family. But there was a small few family in Western Wayne County wanted to build a church. So they asked the Archbishop to see who's available. And because you have to be married before you are ordained a priest, the Archbishop asked me if I desired to marry, and I said, please, I would want. He said, do you have a girlfriend? I said, no, you find me one. So, and he introduced me to a wonderful lady, and I'm surprised she said yes without even talking, without dating, without visiting. And I drove with her in 1972, February 6th, came from Toledo to Detroit, and we were received by a lady that took us to her house and a handful of people. And I said, I came here to build you a church.
I was one of the first people among 5, 6 families to start the church when we brought Father George to direct us and be our priest.
We fell in love with him right off the bat, and that was the end of it. We just kept coming.
We went from church to church. We rented churches. We rented homes. We rented halls for our activity. And little by little, the word got out that there is a mission in Livonia. Well, the first land, it was a farm here on Merriman Road. It was 3.5 acres with the house. And I think we've kind of collected some $20,000. But I went out and I borrowed money from people. And people trusted me. The Ladies' Society, I had a wonderful group of women who will go to the end of the world to do a rummage sale, to do a bake sale, to do a car wash, and to have a bazaar, and just to collect pennies for our church.
The women never stopped thinking of ideas to raise money, and there was probably 50 women when it was all said and done that really worked hard in this church.
أنتم الذين بالمسيح
Today we have close to maybe 700-800 people on Sunday, as you have witnessed. So I serve close to maybe to 2,000 families. Thank God they don't all show up in one time, but they come around Easter and Christmas. The church is a very important part of Arab American Christian, because this is their only link, not only to their culture and their friend and family and cousin, it is their only link really to the land they left behind.
Servant of God, baby Sophia.
Father George brought me here. What drew me in was just his personality, and as I got to know him over the years, you know, that personality just, it really grows on you, and it's hard to separate yourself from you know, from the priest and from the man.
Kiss across you. Jeddo. She's my granddaughter.
Blow him a kiss.
Oh.
Blow him a kiss.
He's always there for you. I don't care where you are or what you do.
He's one of the most sincere friend I have. I can't ask for a better friend than him.
He has the ability to plant seeds in people through ideas, you know, through suggestions that somehow germinate within, you know, within us, within me, within, you know, the people he comes in contact with, and those little seeds have, you know, grow to be what his vision and his ideas are for the community and for the church.
I lead them in a prayer, and they do the prayer, and a church it's not the priest alone, and it's not the parishioners alone. It's the priest and the parishioners and the bishops all together. It's a symphony.
Hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven.
The church today, it's not only a place of worship, it's a place of solidarity, a place of gathering, a place of comfort, and place of security. It's home.
He just connects to people in every way, you know, just in a spiritual way and just as a person to person. I can't describe it any other way. He's a connector.
I really don't have as much pride as much as love. Because if you love something, you're willing to die for it. And I love this community so much that I'm willing to, that I did not spare anything.
I am Neda Ulabi. Hope to see you next week for more Arab American stories.
Major funding for Arab American Stories was provided by Mohammed and Jamie El Arian, the Arab American Community of Michigan, the Arab American Community of Houston, Texas, the American Syrian Arab Cultural Association of Michigan. Additional funding was provided by